And good evening, everyone. Ron here, and we are back at home. I just wanted to give you guys an update and short little update as dinner's getting ready. We ran into some weather, some issues, and other items that we've been here 2 days, I believe, and so we've got we got the home setup going here. So let me look and see. At this point, I don't see anybody on, so I'm going to give a few minutes before I actually go to town here. So there we go. We got people coming in now. There we go. Casey, I am at home in Reno, Nevada. Gab, how are you in Canada? Leo, Linda, hey, Judy Van Dyke and Brenda. Yeah, thank you. So I wanted to get you guys, I got home, just so you all know. I got home 2 days ago, but the computer system here had to have everything updated in it. So I've spent the last couple of days with Texas Girl getting everything ready so that we get the live streams back up and running. So hi Kimberly. So first and foremost, I want to let you know that day before yesterday, I did have an interview on Lindell TV, and we'll post up a link to that so that you can all go and see the see the hey Aaron's in the house. Hey, how you doing, Gunny? Um, you can see that interview, and the interview was to be on a kind of a perspective of diesel shortage, DEF shortages, and trains not moving, and so on. And so I invite you to check it out, and we'll get that link put up there momentarily. But the it kind of worked out really good because I was able to let them also know what it is that we're doing with the walk. Now, just so you all know, after studying the resolutions that we've been fighting for this entire time to be able to end the state of emergency, has been front in my mind. But let's be real. That is just one item that's wrong with this country. But it spawns dozens upon dozens of more very critical ones. Now they're talking about bringing back mask mandates. They're talking about another variant of coronavirus. We've got the resident going over and saying that, he agrees with having a vaccination passport in order for anybody to fly internationally. We're devolving very quickly. And if anyone knows me, they know that I believe in the Constitution, I believe in the United States, and everything I have done in my activity since joining the convoy back in Adelanto in February, it has been all in. And we have got some serious, we've got serious things happening in this country that I don't know that we can quickly recover. If we can. I just heard a quote on Twitter that a woman said to the Maricopa County supervisors, said that whenever you, and she pointed at the supervisors, and meaning the body of bureaucrats and politicians across the country, prevent the people from peacefully protesting, then you force upon the people violent protests. My protesting and my movement is based on peaceful resolution before violent revolution. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form giving up. So we're in a process right now of doing a regroup. We're going to make sure that over this winter, the coldest of the months, nobody wants to come out and walk in sub-freezing temperatures. And I get that. I understand that. I don't want to do that. Plus, I've got some medical issues of my own I have to deal with. I did get with the VA today. We're waiting now for my orthopedic surgeon appointment, and we'll get my shoulder fixed. So that time was needed. So with the fact that the election again in 2022 was stolen, it was stolen for the Senate. It's in the process of being stolen out of Georgia, with now them putting Warnock and Walker into a December 6th runoff election. There's no way that Warnock got all the votes that he got to even come up close to where they came, even though that he's outspent 3-1 over Herschel Walker. He spent that much more. It surprises me in my home state, in my home county here, Adam Laxalt was ahead in this county, in Washoe County, Nevada, until the cameras went out at the counting center 11 p.m. on the 9th, and were completely out until 9 a.m. the next morning on the 10th. And then his lead disappeared. So they go in the back room and make a phone call. So we need 17,000 more ballots. Hurry up, get them over here. I know this to be true. You know this to be true. We've got video evidence that we have seen. We've seen it all over social media. Ryder trucks pulling in with ballots 2 days after the election. Why? Supposedly. Well, look, here's the long and the short of it. In order to get our elections on track, we need to, number one, get rid of mail-in. Mail-in ballots is just full of fraud. There is no chain of control. Nothing. There is everybody and their brother is going and filling out the ballots for, these. Interestingly enough, these ballots received, people don't even live at these addresses, and they're filled out by whoever sent in. And of course, then just the ballot drops in the middle of the night. It's just fraud on top of fraud. So get rid of it. Ban it. Ban the boxes. Ban the drop boxes. We've got video, again, all over social media of cars pulling up and putting stacks of ballots in. They have to actually sit there for a minute and put them in because they only take like 2 at a time. And they're covering up their license plates, and they're wearing masks, and some are wearing goggles so that you can't see who they are. And then they get the hell out of Dodge. And they're doing it blatantly in a line with people who should be going up there and saying, if you don't stop this right now, or even a bunch of them going up and restraining them and calling the authorities. It's just racked with fraud. So I've had a lot of conversations with people that are saying, well, if we can't vote, if our vote doesn't count, then why vote? Well, we still have to swamp the system. We did have a red tidal wave. The problem is, everyone came out to vote. Problem is that they put the cheat on. And even though they gave us the House, we put enough to put the House members in, they stole the Senate from us again. What really gets me is, they stole just enough so they could maintain the Senate control. I mean, come on. Does anybody really think that Fetterman won? Not even. Not even. All right. So we get rid of the ballot boxes. We get rid of the mail-in ballots. You get rid of the ballot boxes. You get rid of early voting. You get rid of electronic voting. And then once you've gotten rid of those four, you go to paper-only ballots. That's what has to happen in this country. I'm going to ask you guys, are you pissed yet? Because I know I am. I've been upset for a very long time, which is why I've actively participated in trying to do something, to the detriment of potentially even losing my home. But I don't get that other people are that way. Or I'd have a line of people up behind me saying, what are we going to do next? So the other thing I want to, the ballots are really super. Voting is super important. It's our cornerstone. Our constitutional republic is in such a crisis, it's crazy. I maintain that we're Article 1, Article 2, and Article 3 in jeopardy, in crisis with our Constitution. These people took an oath to defend the Constitution, just like I did. And they are not holding to their oaths. So, in this regroup, I want to build an army of patriots across this country. Now, we haven't tied anything down as of yet, but I think that the plan will be when we restart the walk. Maybe it'll be called something else. Maybe it'll be called a Patriot Parade. I don't know. But we want to try and get into the areas where we know cheating was done, starting right here in my home county, Washoe County, Nevada. Get people together and swarm the streets of Carson City, the state capital. Move on to the next area, Clark County, Nevada. Move on over to Phoenix, Arizona, and gather the patriots along the way, because there must be tens of thousands of you out there that have had it by looking at this, what happened in this November election. So, Texas, were you able to post that link? I wasn't watching for Frank's speech. So we'll get that. We'll make sure that, yes, Linda, absolutely paper ballots. And when the military steps in to a country and takes a belligerent occupation of that country, now that's Laws of War, DOD Laws of War, Chapter 11. In case you're interested, every time we go into war, we have a rule book that we follow. And a belligerent occupation, Chapter 11.3 of DOD Laws of War, if you want to look it up. The pretty much all of Chapter 11 when you think about it. But yeah, keep in mind, and just keep your mind on belligerent occupation. And I also want you to remember Washington, D.C. right after you hear that word, those two words. The fact of the matter is I think this country needs a total reset. needs a total reset, and I think that it needs to have a military. The military has to run it. Call in the Marines. The military's got to come in and hold the next set of voting, just like we do in other countries that are acting just as stupid. And just even this, what we've done is what these people have done to us is unconscionable. They're not our representatives, and they weren't voted in. They were placed. We have an idea about how long that's been happening, but our job in here as Americans is to hold the government accountable when travesties are occurring, and they are happening. You look at what's going on in Brazil, for instance. They use the same exact Dominion systems that we use here in the United States, and voila, they were cheated on, and they're not taking it. They've even got their own military stepping in. They've got truck drivers dropping grain all over the road and stopping and blocking the roads with their trucks. They've got people. They've got the entire gambit. I want to see the same thing in the United States. I would say if you can see this in Brazil, if you can see this in Australia, you can see this going on in Germany, you see this going on in Finland, you see this going on in the UK, why the hell don't you see it in the United States? And I would add, just recently, we're seeing it in Wuhan, China. Wuhan, China. They've had enough. How many people there have died? 40, 50 that we know of, and we know it could be a lot more, because the Chinese government, the CCP, has gone over and welded bars across their doors so they can't get out of their apartments. So they're finally starting to have enough. They've got what, 1.2 billion people that live in that country alone. It goes back to that movie, Ants. I thought about this the entire time that I was setting up to start the walk. During the walk, I kept thinking of that Pixar movie, Ants, where the grasshoppers come in and they just take what they want when they want it. Towards the end, the ants are finally lifted up and realize that together they're strong enough to defeat the ants tenfold. Or the grasshoppers, excuse me. The ants defeat the grasshoppers tenfold there. We have a similar thing that we need to be doing here in this country. We have 335 million Americans. You just take 10%. 10% of us slugging across this country. Tell me that's not going to get attention. Tell me when we go start beating up on the legislators that's not getting attention. It will get attention, which is exactly what I wanted to do with the walk. I can be that vehicle. You guys hook up with me. Hook up with me. I want to show you again that I was over on Lindell TV, and so you can go to the link that's been provided there, and you can watch the interview that I had. Annie here asked some really good questions, so go check that out. But I wanted to talk about a resolution, and this resolution was the heart of the walk from the beginning. Okay, this resolution was in the House. It's HJ Res 46. Now, this resolution calls for termination of the state of emergency. Okay, but was stalled in committee. So we started a 117th discharge petition number 12. And when we go to discharge petition number 12, well, first and foremost, let me show you this text. This is the text of this, okay? This uses section 202 of 50 USC 1622, okay? And this is the entire verbiage right here. To end the state of emergency, okay? Went into a discharge petition. Well, the discharge petition says that we want to remove it from committee and put it on the House floor for a vote. 218 signatures are required. And then there's those that, well, if you get it out of committee and on the House floor, excuse me, bypassing Pelosi between now and transfer of power, that you'd still have to have 218 votes to pass it. Well, if you got 218 votes to get it out of the committee, I think you got 218 votes to pass it on the floor. And then it will be passed in the Senate, the joint resolution. How do I know that? Because the Senate has done their own bill. This is their third one. But this one was just a couple of weeks ago. It was introduced on 9/22, and it passed the Senate. And it is, when you look at the text, the exact same verbiage as the House resolution to end the state of emergency. But you know what's different about this particular one on the House floor is that it moved on a 69, I think it was 69 to 32, if I recall. Okay. So it goes over to the House, and you know where it winds up? It winds up in Nancy Pelosi's desk drawer. She doesn't put it in a committee. So this is how I know. There's a lot of people out there thinking that just because the Senate passed it, oh my goodness, they put it out there, it's going to end. It's not. It still has to have a joint resolution. So it has to have a House side. So you take the House bill that's already sitting there and get it out and voted on and move it over and let the Senate tap it. Joint resolution passes. Well, realistically speaking, that is not going to happen between now and change of power. That's the realistic side of it. Because Democrats will need to be converted, and they are lamed up. So this is another reason why I decided to suspend the walk, because that is our number one objective in the walk, is to end the state of emergency. This is what I spoke with Senators Cruz and Johnson about. This is what I spoke to Sam Graves in the GOP House about ending the state of emergency, because every single thing that's happening right now is tied back to state of emergency. And then they just want to give us the jab. They want to give us all the jab. They want everybody to take the jab. If you don't take the jab, you're a threat to democracy in their mind, even though we're not a democracy. Okay, so that's SJRS 63, which was a pretty cool passage. You know, there it is, 62 to 36, 62-36. All right. So when you look at the discharge petition back on House resolution, joint resolution 46, these are all the House reps that have signed this discharge petition. Okay. Matt Gaetz of Florida. And the date that they signed it. But there's only 126 current signatures. Oh, we have one more. Wow. California, Young Kim, District 39, signed it on November 17th. So we have 127 signatures. It's a far cry from 218, which is what we would need. So you could still try, even today, between now and when we restart the walk, you could still try to put the pressure on your reps to say, call them up right now between now and the end of the year and say, look, I know time is short, but I want you, as your constituent, I want you to sign discharge petition 117th 12 in the support of the termination of the state of emergency. That's your call to action. Put the pressure on your reps. Seeing that 63 had a 69 to 36 vote, the Senate's not the problem right now. There's 12 Democrats jumped onto that over in the Senate. So we can still try. That is our bird in the hand or two in the bush thing. Okay. Get a hold of your reps, tell your friends to get a hold of your reps, and that's what you want. You want them to sign discharge petition 12. Call them every day and have them support HJ Res 46. Call them every day. Put the pressure on. That's what we need to do. We need to put the pressure on. By the millions of people in this country, we need to be putting pressure on them. And if that does not work by the end of the year and the new Congress and the 118th comes in, we should have no problem with a new House Joint Resolution passing. So we'll have hopefully HJ Res 1. So between now and then, I'll be working with some House reps to try and get that petition on the floor first thing and end it, because President Biden says that it's going to happen, that the state of emergency will go through at least, that's the words, April. And now Biden knows that if he ends the state of emergency, if it's ended, there'll be no more mandates popping out. There'll be no more monies being shuttled out for COVID-19 garbage. There'll be no more use for emergency use authorizations at the FDA. There'll be no more excuses for not renewing and doing something permanently about Title 42 at the southern border. There'll be no more excuses for trying to hand over our American sovereignty to the WHO. It's on and on and on. That's why it's such an important thing. So we will be working on that. I'm trying to form in my mind how I would be able to put election interference into the movement. I guess we could, and again, I'm thinking out loud, have an election integrity objective in the state of emergency and the election integrity. That we want change in this country. But the only way we're going to have change in this country is if you guys get off the couch. And I mean millions of you. Let's get this put together. Let's get a PR crew that has all the contacts that we need to get out to. I'll stand right up front with you guys and I'll take you on in. So I really do want to see a success here peacefully. Doesn't matter if you're a left wing, right wing, Democrat, Republican, black, white, Chinese, Hispanic. Doesn't matter. What matters is that you're an American. It's like what Annie said over on Lindell TV. She is from Iran. She's an Iranian immigrant, but she's American. So I was appreciative of the questions on Lindell TV. My hat's off to her because she said, what can we Americans do about it? So I would say that every single one of you should be looking for a way to get the message out. Get to your friends, get to your family, get to your acquaintances. Tie everything back to graywolfwalk.com. You want to get that up there, Texas, please? And make sure that you guys hit the like, get that thumbs up. I'm on 6 or so different platforms right now. So you got your shares, your retweets, your subscribes, your follows, your notification bells turned on. And then drop us a line. If you have an idea of how we can get people together, that's what we need. We need to get people together. And when we know for sure when we can restart this, everyone will know. And I really would like to see everyone stepping up. Step out and step out. Step out, step up. Well, thanks, Brad. I'm I think I'm the king of napping because I'll just give you a little bit of information. What's going on in here feels like if you had a really bad toothache, it was constant, but it's in the shoulder. I had a shot when I was in Terre Haute when I saw the orthopedic surgeon there. He gave me a steroid injection, a couple steroid injections, and that took that toothache away. But my movement is nil. I've got just a little bit of movement. I can't really reach up much, but um, the shot's wearing off, and now the toothache is back. So when I get into bed, I lay down on my back, and I normally sleep on my left, which I can't do. Then it'll start to throb after about 20 minutes of getting comfortable, and then I got to move again. 20 more minutes. So it's like a 20-minute thing or something, 20 minutes, half hour. So it's good to be home. It's good to have some rest. Mr. T's getting some rest. Gypsy will be leaving tomorrow down for going down to his sister's place down in Arizona to try and take care of. I mean, I don't know if you know, but Gypsy has what looks from here to here on his left side, what looks like a bicycle chain in there for a jaw, um, due to a severe injury that he had. So Gypsy's got lately the whole side of his face is puffed up from the cold. All the metal that he's got in his jawline has just got his just irritated and inflamed. So he needs to get down to the warmer weather for his health. So he gets on a bus tomorrow at 2:30, and then I'll take him down there, and he can head on down to Phoenix, well, Arizona area. Mr. T and I will work on a list of what we need to do to beat you. Now that we know we've got 4,000 miles on her, so we know exactly what we have to do to get her straight. Hopefully, we've got some other folks will join when we go back out. We'll have some more support vehicles. As far as I'm concerned, let's have a combination convoy, but it's going to be a slow roll and people. We just block the streets. We just block the streets. We let them know who the hell they work for. They don't, we are not their slaves, even though they are treating us like their slaves. And what we need to do is we need to let them know we're coming. It's the same thing I said in the Senate meeting back in March to Senator Cruz. People know we are coming. When they know that, that's when we start getting the attention. That's when we start waking people up. Trust me. Trust me, guys. Y'all are looking at what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? We've got to get out and we have to unite and we have to try this last peaceful attempt. We could be looking at violence all over this country. And I don't want that. I know you don't want that. I know a couple of guys are biting at just chomping at the bit to do it. That's not what we want. That's not what we want. So I want to touch base a little bit on something that I've been watching, kind of keeping my fingers crossed, keeping my hopes up. There is that case that came out that is currently a docket in the Supreme Court. Keeping a very close eye on that because that case, that docket, and I'm going to show you the over on Supreme Court on the Supreme Court website. It's docket number 22-380. Okay. Which is Raylan Brunson, who's the petitioner, versus Alma S. Adams. Hey, folks, you know who Alma Adams is, by the way? Alma Adams she's an incumbent from District 12 in Georgia. Sorry, is it Georgia or North Carolina? North Carolina, I'm sorry. North Carolina. She also, the individual that was with me in the truck in DC was Tyler Lee, who was running as a Republican for the House for District 12, North Carolina, running against her. He won the primary, and who's to say what happened in the general? But that's who that is. Okay, et al. So when it says that, but when we look at the petition, okay, so this is the docket info on the Supreme Court website. Okay. But when you look at this petition and you read it, and I've read this petition, and I'll be honest, some of the parts are out there, but they all kind of make sense too. I've said for 2 years, ever since November of 2020, I have made the statement that we had to use the law of the land, the United States Constitution, and not Constitution only. We could not utilize any kind of case law or any kind of titles, title, 18 USC type stuff or any of that. We had to use the law of the land, the Constitution. We have to use the fact that these people took an oath, and if they can be proven to be complicit in the crime of stealing our elections, and we can prove that, if we can be heard. There's plenty of evidence out there, but they tell you that it's lack of standing. I don't know if you guys know this, but that is the number one cause of a case not even getting to an evidentiary hearing is lack of standing. It's a way to say, I don't want to deal with this. And they just kick that can down the road, tuck it up underneath the carpet, brush it. So all the cases that were filed back in 2020 were dismissed. Lack of standing, lack of standing, lack of standing, lack of standing. 86 of it. I believe it was 86. So this one has not yet been scheduled for an argument. I certainly could hope that these 388 respondents that are in this, and we'll post the link up there for you over on the website. See, it even has my buddy Ron Johnson on there because they all voted to certify on January 6th. That's why these names are on here. For those who refused to say yay and said nay, the nays are not on this list. So if you dance with the devil, I'm hoping that the Supreme Court will actually do something with this. It doesn't matter who brought it. I mean, I've read so much about Raylan Brunson that, he's crazy, he's a nut job. None of that matters. What matters is whether or not the argument sticks. That's what matters. And so you can check this out. It was filed on October 20th of 2022. There are individuals out there saying it was filed with the Supreme Court in 2021. No. The fight for this gentleman, Bronson, began in 2021. And he took several hits in trying to get traction. And I believe it was around July of 2021 when he finally went into the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals. But it hit the Supreme Court of the United States on the 20th. It was docketed on the 24th and given a docket number. Okay. So the only thing we're waiting for now is an argument date. When are they going to put 22-380 up to argue? Keep your eyes on this one. But then that brings a point up. And I've had lawyers telling me, well, there's no case, there's no precedence for this ever occurring. Well, you know what? That's true. There is no precedence. But then it's never happened before. So how would you have precedence? We need to create precedence. And the lawyers say that there's no remedy for what has occurred. And what is the remedy if all of a sudden 388 members of Congress and the administration are arrested? Well, I've been saying for a very long time that Article 1 of the Constitution, which is your legislators, Article 2 of the Constitution, which is your executive branch, and I've had an argument as well that Article 3 of the Constitution, which is your legislative branch, or your judicial branch of government, are all in crisis. Think about this for just a moment. You have got a known fact that 2 congressmen were robbed of their seats in Georgia in 2020 on January 5th, 21, on the runoff. Same thing. Boop, after a shutdown. Right? We know their senator lost a position, at least one, up in Michigan. So we have an illegitimate Senate and an illegitimate Congress. But then Texas filed a lawsuit. 19 other states joined that lawsuit, and the Supreme Court, namely John Roberts, wrote the opinion saying that it was in lack of standing. It was anything but lack of standing when you had a total of 20 states saying that their states were affected by what was shown to them as evidence of election fraud, election inaccuracies, malfeasance. This made the Supreme Court complicit in this very docket, but they're not named in this docket. So there's some interesting parameters that would occur. If something were to happen with this, it would have to be, the country would have to be turned over to a military rule until new elections could be done. And I'm afraid that would mean that there would be it would probably be widespread martial law. That's just my opinion. But if all these people were arrested, they would shut the government down. How do you do that? I mean, even if you do have the military come in, you still have to make things right with feeding the citizens, with making sure that people weren't losing their homes because they couldn't work. And I mean, everything I've been fighting since I've been out on the road since February and dealing with what I'm dealing with, trying to keep my home right here. So I get it. It could come down to that. And those are just my opinions, my questions, my thoughts, my opinions. And more importantly, my opinions. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. Do I hope it happens? Be honest with you, yeah. But that's on the sidebar. So let's, what I'm doing is I'm going straight down the road saying, what do I know? I know for a fact that the 117th is a lame duck and they're not going to do anything to end the state of emergency. I know for a fact that that the state of emergency has to end before we can even begin to go to the next line of the fight. Okay. It's kind of like playing pinball. You get every point you get is a win. And the first one, and the state of emergency. Then we can have our briefcase open up next. And I do believe that needs to be election integrity in the United States of America. So I think I'll put together a draft for that. And I'll see how much of it that I can tie it into what's currently going on in Maricopa County, Arizona, what's going on in Washoe County and Clark County in Nevada, what's going on in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's tragedy for America. So we need to get together as one. As one. We'll get this together, get the volunteers together. We're putting together some ideas, some databases that would allow volunteers to be able to go to a portal to put it in what they can do. I'm looking for volunteers from every single state. Because if I can't be there, then I want to see simultaneous actions from leaders that would, that can run state house protests there. Every state. We use the full force of the 10th Amendment of the Constitution. Full force. All right, folks, I think dinner is ready out there. I wanted to give you that update, let you know I got home safe. I am waiting for that phone call to say, hey, come in, we got to do surgery on you. And then I know I'll be in physical therapy after that. So waiting for that call. It is what it is. We will improvise, adapt, and overcome. I want to give a big thanks to Lindell TV for the interview the other day. But I really want to thank all my moderators. I want to thank my supporters, Texas Girl, Joe, JM, Mama Wolf, Debbie, Karen, Mr. T, Gypsy, the whole, if I missed you, I didn't, don't take it as I didn't forget it or that I forgot it. I mean, Juniper, Diego, all of you guys. I love all of you guys. We're going to make this thing bigger. We're going to make it badder. And we're going to make it more aggressive this next go. It's time to take gloves off. It's time to wake people up, shy of literally having to slap the crap out of them. Because this is it. This is it. So, I love all you guys, and I want to make sure that that you're all here. We're going to do at least, every couple of days we'll do this. We'll update you guys where we are. See how many of you guys can bring it in. Bring it in. Say, hey, I got this idea. I've got that guy. I got this, that. We can do that. We can do this. We can do that, and so on and so forth. Okay. I see that we've got links have been posted up here in Walk Chat. Well, I'm not. I say Walk Chat in chat room. So you can pull the links out. So I'm going to let that marinate for a minute before I end it. So you guys can get the links and take a look at it. But while that's going on, I'm going to go ahead and play our Wake Up in the USA. And then we'll end it right after that. So love you guys. God bless all of you. God bless the United States.
There's a cry of freedom sweeping around the world today. And here we have it all, life and liberty. Still we give the dream away. No more can we afford to stand around, set inside our ways. Wake up in the USA. Wake up in the USA. Help others when you can. Respect your fellow man. Can't you see the times are changing? When priorities are wrong, we've got to stand up strong and rearrange them. It's time that we wake up and see our freedom was never free. So wake up in you gotta push on through. Quit closing your eyes, pretending that you don't see. And if you think you'll just spectate, it's too late. We all live here together, from sea to shining sea. Now there's a cry of freedom sweeping around the USA. No one can take the sunlight or the breeze. No one can turn our blue skies gray. Now everybody join together with me as I pray. Wake up in the USA.